How we doing again? Alrighty. Well, I'm excited because I wasn't going to do one again, but I'm here. And it's 1 a.m., so it's been a long day. But just want to go through a couple things, everything that I did today, and a couple big announcements. The first one is hopefully this little microphone that you can't see, but is on, literally stuck in the USB-C port of my Google Pixel 4 XL. It's a big windscreen. I'll try to take a picture of it, put it on my Instagram story or something. But hopefully the audio quality is a little bit better. Hopefully it doesn't pick up any of that weird noise stuff. We'll find out though. And at least it might alleviate the problem for a short while. That'd be great. But anyway, to kind of just get into the recap of the day. I don't anticipate this one to be a long one. There was a couple things. Obviously yesterday I was sick. Felt a little bit better today. It was pretty good for most of the time. I don't know what that was, but I think it was just kind of a brief stint. I think I'm on the upswing, so that's good to hear, and I'm happy about that because that means that I can be a little bit less irritable, I suppose. First thing that I did was, and kind of like throughout the morning, is I was trying to post some podcasts. So if you're not aware, Fueled by Progress is a podcast that I have. It's going to turn into much more than that. But basically, there's about 30 or so episodes online right now. I think I have about 10-ish more to post to get it up to date to like the log that I have. And then we're going to start doing things like having guests on the podcast and obviously like an actual build like more of a recording studio rather than just like me in my car with my phone. So that's very exciting. I'm happy to see where that's going. And the big announcement there is it's gotten over 100 plays. So that's tremendous. I guess it does it all over all the platforms. It's hosted on Anchor, but Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that. So that's really cool. I'll probably make more content specific to that down the line, but that's just a quick update there and how we're doing. I had a call around like 3 p.m. today with a buddy of mine that I'm actually working with on his website. He's interested in doing sort of like a personal brand, but also heavily involved with music producing, and then also clothing. So whole types of stuff there, using different plugins and integrations to produce that clothing. We're getting all that set up. So that's super exciting because that's helping me a lot as well, because I hope to have that in Fueled by Progress and maybe a couple other things that I do moving forward. So I'm very excited to work on that project. And like I said, we kind of got up to speed there and we're doing a couple of those things today. As far as other big things that I did while I was today in the office that you see here, not too much. I know that I was working on a couple of different websites and just trying to, again, kind of bring everything together. I'm really into the idea of just building this whole empire of different things, and I'll touch on that in a little bit here. But not too much during the day. Had some lunch, obviously, had some dinner, talked to my parents. That's normally how the day goes, is I work pretty much as much as I can up until, unless I have meetings or something, up until around like 2-3-ish o'clock, and then my parents come home and then I talk to them, and we kind of have different discussion, and then maybe dinner or something, and then if I'm still home, I go back to work. So it's 1 a.m. now, and I've been working for the last like 4 hours or whatever. So that middle piece there is kind of my break time, but there's really no hours, and that's how I like it, because if I'm doing things that I like and things that I enjoy and are moving me forward, then I'll work all the time. It's not a problem, but it doesn't even feel like work. I did take a break around 8 o'clock. I had a hockey game, did not go the way I wish it would have gone, but it's okay, it happens. That's actually, I'll make a point there too with that, is like in business and like in life, one thing that I have noticed about like ball hockey, for instance, is that obviously you're not going to win every game. And in life, you're always going to have failures, you're going to have losses, you're going to have these types of things, but you just got to have a good mindset about it, move forward, not dwell on it, just take what you can from it, learn from your mistakes and move forward. I like to put a lot of blame on myself, specifically in ball hockey, but just in, businesses and everything in general. But it's very important to realize that, because when you put that blame on yourself, it's a two-way thing. Like, I think it's definitely good because you're in control, and it's something that empowers you to realize that you can do better and you have control of your own life and fate and all that sort of stuff. But at the same time, you don't want to beat yourself up. I've definitely been guilty of that, whether it's in whatever area of my life, and it's not fun. So that's another thing too, to relating it back to everything that I'm doing here. And it'll segue great into my next little piece that I want to talk about, is I'm trying not to beat myself up. Talked with my buddy today about the e-commerce business. Like, that is the worst thing you can do. Like, we're trying to work every single day and move forward and everything like that. And like, if you can honestly say to yourself that you're working as hard as you can and moving towards, like, you have a goal in mind and you're moving towards it, you're setting, different things up and moving towards that, and you're just not seeing the results as fast as you want, it's just about patience. But you got to be on the right track. I've talked about this before. Persistence and staying on that path is so critical. And, it's important not to beat yourself up though, because I've been guilty of that. I've done it very recently, and it's not fun. It doesn't help you. It just it hurts you, brings you down, ruins your confidence, and it's just not a good place to be. So I would definitely recommend against that. That being said though, one of the things that I did sort of in that middle time frame where I had some lull time is, might have seen it in the thumbnail, I wrote on this big, very neonish piece of paper, something that's going to do a lot of things for me. One, really puts things in perspective. I need a whiteboard. Okay, I don't have a whiteboard in this room. I need to get one. But in lieu of that, for now, is this little poster board here. And the reason I needed to do this, and the reason that I thought it would be a good idea, is because I needed to understand there's a lot of things that I'm doing, and I keep saying that. I feel like I keep saying that, and I haven't made that video that I keep talking about. But this really is the video in a sense. I'm not going to make it right here. I'm going to do a separate video, but I'll give you, anybody who's watching this, kind of like a sneak peek at what I'm talking about. Because this is important. I think no matter who you are, if you have one business or multiple businesses, or even if you only want one business, you can have like stuff for your personal self, stuff for your business, and just like a different separation of concerns. We all have things in our life that are important to us at some times, right? And other things are important to us at other times, whether it's, you do this for anything. It's just to sort of separate out what you're thinking about and what you need to implement in what spaces. So let me give you a quick run through of what I did here, and I'm not going to go into too much depth, like I said, because I really want to explain all of this in its own dedicated video, because I think it's going to really help me, and it's going to help other people understand sort of what I'm doing. So hopefully I'm kind of still in this frame here. But basically what I did was I took this big thing, and I don't expect you to be able to see this, so I'll do it a different way when I actually make this video. But at the top here, what I have is my parent company, or my holding company, MJS Industries. And underneath it, I just have a couple tasks that I need to take care of. And then this is just sort of the income stream, which this is just the parent company. So we're not going to get into it, like I said, but each one of these columns underneath this is a company that's sort of associated with it. There are some exceptions in this little chart here, but for the most part, this is a company, or at least a level of concern sort of with under that. The structure isn't super important, like right now in this overview, but you can see that, or maybe you can't see, but I'm explaining to you that like this column, for instance, is fueled by progress. Okay, so for fueled by progress, there's a lot of different tasks that I need to take care of, and most of these are just still like kind of basic setup things in a way. There's a lot of stuff that I want to do, content that I want to produce, and I have a separate sort of system for organizing and doing all that. But these are just the things that I wanted to get done. And these are like the top portion. I did some tasks, and then I did like any people that I might need. So like, for instance, Find a Tech is a good example here. There's some tasks that I need to do. People, At some point, if I want to scale that business, I'm gonna need a WordPress developer, a graphic designer, and a copywriter. I truly believe that, because I don't want to be doing all that work all the time. I think it's a great skill, and I'm happy that I have that company as like a backbone for all these other things. But that's something that I'll definitely need to do. And then assets needed. A good example for that, and something that has that, is Szymanski Media. Szymanski Media doesn't really do much. It's kind of just the company that the money would flow through, and any sort of income for affiliate marketing or YouTube revenue or anything like that from a personal brand. But basically, I would love to have a videographer at some point, because I need to be like these are cool and these are good, but the production quality is obviously pretty low. And that's not really a bad thing, but at the same time, I would love to have somebody like following me around with a camera when I go to meetings or anything like that. Just somebody that I can trust to put out good content that I would approve of, and we could work together on those types of things, because that's really, I think, where you ultimately make the next step, where you have somebody on your team that could do that. So that's something to look into. But specifically before then, honestly, like assets, like things that I would need, like maybe a camera, an actual microphone setup and everything like that, a whiteboard, a lighting kit, and then like a green screen. So like very standard stuff that I would use I could use it really across the board, but those are just the specific things there. Last thing is at the bottom, I kind of touched on it already, is this income streams of how each one of these businesses would make money. And the point of that, obviously, is that it's important to know when you have a business how you're going to generate revenue for that business. So if you find a tech, it's relatively simple. Most of it is web development, hosting costs, maintenance, and things like that. For other ones, it might be a little more difficult. Like Szymanski Media is a good option. Like, what does that even mean? What does that do? How does it? So Szymanski Media, in a very brief sense, is the way that I could translate my personal brand into like an actual business. And for instance, like I said earlier, the streams are Amazon affiliates or Amazon associates, any other affiliate marketing courses that I'm going to put out, YouTube ads, and any sponsorships. So things like that could expand, could decrease, doesn't really matter. But this is all preliminary stuff. Like I said, the different things across here. When I actually do this, it'll be better illustrated and not like on this piece of paper, but I did this for me. And I'm really liking this. This is super important. I already crossed something off. Little Szymanski Media logo that really doesn't mean too much, but it's a part of another project here that I'm excited to I'll be excited to share with you guys when it actually goes live. But that's pretty much it for this guy here. I'm really excited about that because that puts everything in a perspective. I just had it on my phone and like different notes on Google Keep, and it was kind of messy and all that. That's definitely a lot more concise, and you can see everything in one picture. A big whiteboard on wheels that I could roll around here might be better, but we're not really at that point yet. So, like I said, I'm excited about what's to come there. I want to do more of that. I'm going to put out a video that's specifically catered to explaining all of that, because I gotta be honest, when people ask me like, what are you doing? Like, you quit your job, yada yada, what are you gonna do? That is, I would love to just show, hey, just watch this video and here you go, like that type of thing, along with a bunch of other stuff, like I said, that I would love to kind of go and have different people consume, stuff for either one of those businesses and all that sort of stuff. But like I said, the content's a separate system. This is trying to finish laying all the groundwork so we can just go. The one thing that I want to touch on before we wrap this up is something that I've thought about and I've heard a couple people say, and I actually watched an Alex Becker video earlier today, and it got me thinking. It didn't really change my mind, but it got me thinking. And let me just try to paraphrase what the video was about. It was basically like, don't give advice on social media if you're not like a real entrepreneur. You're not making like $50 to $100 million a year in your businesses. Don't inflate your lifestyle and post like pictures of you in airplanes and private jets and like whatever, all this stuff. And don't celebrate each one of your little milestones like before they've happened, or that was kind of confusing. I don't know what he really meant by that. I have a lot of respect for Alex Becker, and I don't think that the video was like aimed at like anybody specifically, obviously not me, but I don't think it was like aimed at like people, right? Like I think it was just sort of like what he saw on Facebook and different things like that. But I would like to touch on it for a quick second, because I think most of it was BS. Like, you should definitely celebrate your accomplishments. You should definitely post about the things that you're doing. You should definitely tell your story. You should do all of that sort of stuff as much as you can on social media. Like, I was reading some of the comments too, and it was like, people were saying, oh yeah, social media was absolutely no good for me the whole time I was on there. It was a total waste of time. Didn't get anything out of it. Like, are you sure? This guy didn't even have like a profile picture on his Google account thing either. Like, I'm not trying to like judge or like hate on those people, but maybe you weren't doing it right. Like maybe you didn't have the right mindset going into it. Like, I post stuff and I don't intend on getting like hundreds of likes or do it for some sort of rush. I do it because like I want to put it on there, because at the absolute worst case scenario, like these YouTube videos, I will just be able to see if I'm a huge success or I'm a huge failure, like in 15 years, for instance, right? I'll be able to come back and I'll be able to say, oh, wow, that was really interesting. A thought that I had back then, or how my perspective has shifted, how my experiences have changed me, like whatever it is. So that's a terrible bit of advice, I would say. Like, normally I agree with a lot of stuff Alex says, but that was awful. Like I can't believe that. I understand it to a certain degree. I think what he was trying to say, but did not really do a great job at communicating it, was the fact that you shouldn't be focused on all of the hubbub and all of the like the communication pieces. You should be focused on doing the work, which I totally understand and I totally get. But you know, the piece that got me was the focus thing. I think he said like one thing, focus on one thing, and I've heard other people say that and like do that. And then you see this list over here in this big, you know, poster board thing that I have, and it's like all these different things. And I think to myself, am I spreading myself too thin? Am I doing things that there's just too much? Like, is there too much stuff going on? And I think maybe yes, but at the same time, no. A lot of this stuff is related. Most of the stuff is already, the groundwork is laid. And if I needed to, the way that I'm building it, I could always get more people to help me with the things that I need to do. Whether it's, you know, posting, or if it's merchandise and clothing and everything like that. I'm making these connections. I want to have these people in my life, so I have other people that are going through the same type of thing, like on their own journeys with, you know, like clothing manufacturing and all this other stuff, and just kind of pick their brain and see, like, try to skip over any mistakes that they made and to continue to do that. So these are all things that I'm interested in for different reasons. And I don't plan on really starting any more at this point. I mean, this is getting to a point where there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of moving parts, but at the same time, I don't think that it's inherently a bad thing to not focus on one thing. I think there's a lot of successful people that have their hands in different industries and doing different things and everything like that, because at the end of the day, this is what actually really makes me happy, and I'm working at 1:30. You know, like, I mean, it's not like I'm trying to do all these things, but I'm actually half-assing all of them, and I'm just like, you know, playing video games like most of the day or something like that. So those are just my thoughts. I don't know what to say about like sort of the advice to kind of like not do all that other stuff and not post and not do all these other things, because at the end of the day, like, you have to tell your story and you have to get your message out there, because if you don't, nobody's going to share your story for you if you don't. I mean, it just, maybe nobody will engage with it. That's like, it's not like guaranteed that people will. And you shouldn't hope, like, you should hope for it, but you shouldn't like rely on it or just do it because of that. You should do it because it's like the right thing to do. It makes sense. And ultimately, you know, put in the work and display what you want to display, and show the world what you want to see, or what you think they might want to see, or what you want to show to them, just based on your history of your company, yourself, and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, don't just neglect it because you think like you have to work all the, like, if you're doing that, you're not work. I didn't really, like I said, I just didn't understand it. So rant over vlog basically over there. I'm really excited for what's to come. Every single day is an absolute blessing. I can feel myself getting happier and happier, especially as I'm, kind of turning on and deploying like patience and persistence and all this other stuff with these things. And I really like when I can see it and just boom, 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 try to be able to knock them out. So we're doing it. We're going to keep going. This has been great so far. Can't wait to see what happens and where we go from here. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to click on this video and give it a watch. If you liked it, if you got any sort of value from it, if you want to just help me out with the almighty YouTube algorithm, please give it a like, a thumbs up. If you aren't subscribed already, please do that. I'm trying to get to 100. That's my first goal. And ring the little bell, do all that sort of cool stuff that the YouTubers tell you to do. And thank you so much again. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.